Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review a film that got me really excited as I was sitting there in the theater just taking it all in, and it's Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. Now, this film is about the polyamorous relationship that brought about the creation of Wonder Woman. And I had no idea about the origins of Wonder Woman, nor do I think a whole lot of people do, and all the interesting backstory that went into the creation of this iconic character. And this film is absolutely fascinating. I was sitting there enthralled the whole entire time, and really looking at Angela Robinson, who directed this film, and the way she was able to take these three people, make them fully fleshed out, and be able to tell this story over time and really bring this connection that these actual people had with each other, and how fluidly it all builds up to each other, how the tension builds up. There's so much sexual tension in this film, and being able to really pick up on that and see how they're actually interacting with each other was so amazing. And there's such a well done handle on this film on bringing the story about and taking us through this story. And the interesting thing is, a lot of the story is also told with a basically somebody telling us the story, which is Professor Marston, as he's being basically interrogated about the creation of Wonder Woman, and being able to balance that and making it not feel off or cutting the momentum of the film, but easily threading that all together and bringing a very fluid film. And the pacing, I never once felt bored throughout this entire film. I was so enthralled by these characters and the story, and this unbelievable story that is a true story, and how this was brought about, and how everything threaded together so well and brought together this idea, this concept, this iconic being, Wonder Woman, was so fascinating. And this film really does hit emotionally, and I felt for these three people and their love for each other, and this relationship, which polyamorous relationships aren't considered a norm even today, and especially back then, and all the heavy things that they had to deal with, and the hiding, and on some level the shame among some of them, and just trying to figure out who they are and how they feel, and embracing those emotions and embracing who they are. And that was so great in this film. It was fully fleshed out, and you really felt for these characters. Now, cinematographer Bryce Fortner was able to do some fantastic things with this film, with great camera work, and it had a very vintage tint to it and really felt like a period piece. And you get to feel, especially in the scenes where they're showing passion for each other, just how they were framing all the shots and this very extreme close-up, and you felt all the tension and everything in every single shot. And you can feel the emotion that was being portrayed in that shot, and how those characters actually felt for each other. Just how the camera moved, and what shots were chosen at different times, and everything just felt so fully realized, and you're able to really connect with these characters. And this was also written by Angela Robinson, who directed the film. And these three people are so fully fleshed out with so many layers, and just the interactions between all of them. They're such fascinating characters, and the story that they're a part of, and how their relationship and these two women formed Wonder Woman, and all this psychology background that this husband and wife had when they were teaching and doing experiments, and how all of that was brought into Wonder Woman, and how all these threads came together was so well done and very interesting and intriguing. And this is a truly fascinating story, and I keep saying fascinating, but I don't know how else to describe how enthralled I was watching this story unfold, and really getting a sense of this was brave and dangerous at that time, and there's hateful people. They could have easily been attacked or honestly killed for some of the things that we're doing. and all the bondage and everything that was a part of the relationship that they were able to express their feelings through, that also really isn't acceptable today either. And there's a lot of taboo things going on in this film, especially for their time, but it's still taboo today. And it's so fully realized, and I think one of the most impressive things is it felt like just a romance, a true romance that you really felt and understood why they cared about each other, but also in terms of this film, they didn't feel like it was any kind of joke or judgment upon them. There's like they just loved each other, and you got to see that. And the characters around them weren't caricatures. They really did embody attitudes of the time and really helped flesh out the troubles that our main characters were having. The dialogue and their flirting and their arguments and their professes of love and how they interacted with each other all felt so natural and so real that it was unbelievably just believable to watch and relatable to watch, because we've all felt these feelings for people, maybe not someone of the same sex or two multiple people at the same time, but I think all of that and how well done that was really made this relationship relatable, even if in terms of technical reasons it's not really something a lot of us have experienced. And this movie does hit on some important themes, and looking at our society and seeing these lessons that Professor Marston really wanted to convey through Wonder Woman that I had no idea about, and it's very interesting to find out. Now, the composer, Tom Howell, the music in this was very well done and really built up the scenes, and you're able to really feel the emotions that were being portrayed in the scenes as the music elevated it. And it really did feel timely, and the music choices were spot on with the tone and the period that we were trying to get portrayed and shown in this film. Now, the acting. The three main actors in this film, Luke Evans, this is the best performance I've ever seen of him, and he was a real standout of this film. Rebecca Hall really stood out, and I feel like she gets lost in a lot of films to bigger actors, but she really owned it in this film. And Bella Heathcote really stood out, and this was a breakout performance for her, and she held her own against these two much more veteran actors in this film, and their chemistry together was so believable that this relationship, which seems so odd to a lot of people, felt believable and relatable. Now, looking at this film, I was blown away by this film. This is definitely one of my favorite films of this year. And really what I have to say about it's such a fascinating and engaging story, this tale of an unconventional love wrapped all around the origins of such an iconic character. This is such a unique, interesting film, and I really hope that you go out and see this, because I think it's an important film. And especially in this era of how big comic books are, it's really comic book movies and adaptations, I think it's really cool to be able to see where that inspiration came from. And especially this is one of the most believable love stories I've seen in a film in a long time. And that's why I'm going to give Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman an A+.